She mocked the human at the luxury Starship dealership until he pulled out his credit card. Eric Matthews wiped the sweat from his brow as he trudged the final kilometer toward Astral Elegance, the most prestigious Starship dealership in the Orion sector. His old Terran-made Voyager had finally given up the ghost 3 days ago, leaving him stranded on Kyralea, a planet known for its wealthy alien elite and their disdain for humans. The gleaming glass and titanium structure of Astral Elegance rose before him like a temple to wealth and privilege. Holographic displays showcased sleek vessels that cost more than most humans would earn in several lifetimes. Eric adjusted his plain black t-shirt and ran a hand through his short dark hair. He knew what was coming. He'd experienced it countless times before, but it never got easier. As the automatic doors parted with a soft hiss, cool air washed over him, a welcome relief from the punishing heat outside. The showroom was immaculate. Polished obsidian floors reflected the ambient blue lighting, while starships of various designs hovered on anti-grav platforms, each more magnificent than the last. "Can I help you?" The voice was melodic, but laced with unmistakable contempt. Eric turned to face the owner of the voice. She was tall and slender, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the showroom lights. Her silvery white hair cascaded down her back in an elegant waterfall, and her deep sapphire eyes regarded him with thinly veiled disdain. The name tag on her form-fitting black leather suit read, Rita Navari, Proprietor. "I'm looking for a new ship," Eric said simply, meeting her gaze without flinching. Rita's full lips curled into a mocking smile. "Are you now?" She circled him slowly, her heels clicking against the obsidian floor. "What is someone like you doing in such a prestigious and luxurious place? This isn't your place, human, and even in 1,000 lifetimes you won't have enough money to afford to buy one of our models." A few other blue-skinned sales associates nearby chuckled, not bothering to hide their amusement. "I was thinking something in the Celestial class," Eric said, ignoring her barb. "Maybe the new Phoenix model." Rita laughed, the sound like crystal bells. "The Phoenix, that's our premium line. The base model starts at 15 million credits." She leaned in closer, her scent, something like lavender and ozone, filling his nostrils. "Perhaps I can direct you to the used lot down the street. They have some affordable human vessels." Eric maintained his composure, despite the heat rising in his cheeks. He'd built his fortune from nothing, and he'd learned long ago that the best revenge against prejudice was success. "I'd still like to see the Phoenix," he said firmly. Rita's smile faltered slightly at his persistence. "Very well. I suppose there's no harm in looking." She gestured toward the back of the showroom, where a magnificent vessel hovered. Its hull gleamed with a pearlescent finish that shifted colors as they approached, and its lines were so aerodynamic it seemed to be moving even while stationary. "The Phoenix Celestial," Rita announced with theatrical flair, "quantum-enhanced engines capable of reaching speeds that would make your primitive human vessels look like they're standing still. Adaptive shield technology that can withstand direct hits from military-grade weapons. Interior luxury appointments designed by Vega's most renowned artisans." Eric walked around the ship, genuinely impressed. It was everything he'd heard and more. "How much for the deluxe package?" he asked. Rita's patience was clearly wearing thin. 22 million credits. "Now, if you're done wasting my time..." Without a word, Eric slowly and confidently reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. He extracted a single card, not the standard plastic or even the premium metal cards that most wealthy individuals carried, but a genuine gold business credit card with the emblem of the Galactic Reserve Bank. These cards were issued exclusively to individuals with assets exceeding 10 billion credits. He held it up between two fingers, watching as Rita's expression transformed from contempt to shock. Her sapphire eyes widened, and her hand flew to her mouth. "I'll take the deluxe package," Eric said quietly, "and I'd like to discuss some custom modifications." The other sales associates had fallen silent, staring at the golden card that gleamed under the showroom lights. Rita's arrogance had vanished, replaced by a mixture of embarrassment and curiosity. "Mr. I don't believe I caught your name," she stammered. "Matthews, Eric Matthews." Recognition dawned in her eyes. "Not the Eric Matthews who founded Terran Quantum Solutions?" He nodded once. I had no idea." Rita said, her voice now honeyed with respect. "Please follow me to my private office where we can discuss your purchase in comfort." As Eric followed her through the showroom, he caught the whispers of the other associates, the human billionaire, the quantum drive pioneer, the man who revolutionized interstellar travel. Rita's office was as elegant as she was, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the capital city's skyline. She gestured for him to take a seat in a plush chair across from her desk. "Mr. Matthews, I must apologize for my behavior earlier. Had I known who you were, you would have treated me differently," Eric finished for her. "That's precisely why I don't advertise who I am." Rita had the grace to look ashamed. "Can I offer you a drink? Perhaps some Arcturian whiskey?" "Water is fine." She pressed a button, and a panel in her desk slid open, revealing 2 crystal glasses and a carafe of water. As she poured, Eric noticed a slight tremor in her hands. "So," she said, handing him the glass, "the Phoenix Celestial with the deluxe package. Did you have specific modifications in mind?" Eric took a sip of water. "I'd like to upgrade the navigation system to include the new Terran Quantum Solutions mapping algorithm, and I want the interior customized with genuine Earth materials. Leather, wood, the works." Rita nodded eagerly. "Of course, those modifications would add approximately 3 million credits to the total." "That's fine." She tapped at her holographic display, bringing up contract details. "We can have it ready within 2 standard weeks. Will that be acceptable?" Eric nodded, then set down his glass. "There's one more thing. I'd like to know why." Rita blinked. "Why what, Mr. Matthews? Why the contempt? Why treat any human that way regardless of their apparent wealth?" The question hung in the air between them. For a moment, Rita's professional mask slipped, revealing something vulnerable underneath. She began, then stopped. "It's complicated." "I've got time," Eric said, leaning back in his chair. Rita sighed, a surprisingly human gesture. "My father lost everything to a human business partner 20 years ago. He trusted him, and that trust was betrayed. It colored my perspective." Eric nodded slowly. "I'm sorry that happened to your father, but judging an entire species based on one individual's actions seems rather narrow-minded, doesn't it?" Rita's blue skin flushed a deeper shade. "You're right, of course. It's no excuse." She looked up at him, her sapphire eyes meeting his blue ones. "Perhaps I have some reconsidering to do." "Perhaps we all do," Eric replied, finishing his water. "Now, about that contract." News traveled fast in Carolia's elite circles. By the following evening, Eric's datapad was flooded with invitations to exclusive gatherings across the capital city. The arrival of the human billionaire behind Terran Quantum Solutions had become the hottest topic among the planet's aristocracy. Eric was reviewing these invitations in his luxury hotel suite when his datapad chimed with an incoming call. Rita Navari's face appeared on the screen, her silvery hair now elegantly styled in an intricate updo. "Mr. Matthews," she said, her voice carrying a warmth that had been absent during their first meeting. "I hope I'm not disturbing you." "Not at all," Eric replied, setting down his coffee. "And please, call me Eric." Rita's blue skin flushed slightly. "Eric, then. I've been informed that your Phoenix Celestial's customizations are proceeding ahead of schedule, but that's not why I'm calling." "Oh," Eric raised an eyebrow. "I've noticed you've received invitations to several high-profile events, including Governor Tholian's gala tomorrow evening." She hesitated. "These gatherings can be complex for outsiders to navigate. Our social customs might seem peculiar to humans." Eric leaned back in his chair. "Are you offering to be my guide, Miss Navari?" "Rita, please." She tucked a strand of hair behind her pointed ear. "And yes, I am. Consider it part of our premium customer service package." Her lips curved into a smile that seemed genuinely warm. "Or perhaps my personal apology for yesterday's behavior?" "Apology accepted," Eric said, "and I'd welcome the assistance. Governor Tholian's gala sounds like a good place to start." "Excellent. I'll send my driver to collect you at 1900 hours. She paused. "Dress formally, but don't worry about the details. I've taken the liberty of arranging appropriate attire for you. It should arrive within the hour." Before Eric could respond, she added, Caerulean formal wear is quite different from human styles. Trust me on this. After they disconnected, Eric found himself smiling. There was something intriguing about Rita Navari beyond her striking appearance. The vulnerability he'd glimpsed beneath her polished exterior had caught his interest. True to her word, an exquisite outfit arrived at his suite. A midnight blue suit with subtle luminescent threads that shimmered like stars when he moved. The fabric felt impossibly light yet substantial. The following evening, Rita's private shuttle arrived precisely on time. When Eric stepped inside, he found her waiting, dressed in a flowing gown that matched the color of her eyes. The dress seemed to capture light and transform it, creating an ethereal effect around her slender form. "You look," Rita began, then stopped, seeming at a loss for words. "Acceptable by Caerulean standards?" Eric suggested with a smile. "More than acceptable," she replied, regaining her composure. "You wear our fashion well for a human." As the shuttle glided through the city's skyways, Rita briefed him on Caerulean etiquette. "Governor Thalion is from the northern continent, so you'll need to bow slightly lower than you would to southern dignitaries. Never compliment a Caerulean's home directly. It's considered presumptuous. Instead, admire specific objects if they catch your eye." Eric listened attentively, finding her cultural insights fascinating. "Any taboo topics I should avoid?" "The Proxima Centauri dispute," she said immediately. "Opinions are sharply divided, and it's considered impolite to discuss at social functions." "Noted, though I'm curious about your personal view on the matter." Rita gave him a measured look. "Perhaps another time. We're nearly there." Governor Thilion's residence was a floating palace anchored above the city's central lake, its architecture a breathtaking blend of organic curves and impossible angles that seemed to defy gravity. As they disembarked from the shuttle, Rita subtly placed her hand on Eric's arm, guiding him toward the entrance. The interior was even more spectacular, with living crystal formations serving as both decoration and lighting. Hundreds of Caerulean elites mingled beneath a transparent dome that offered a panoramic view of the night sky. "Eric Matthews," a deep voice announced, and Eric turned to find a tall, distinguished Caerulean male approaching. "The human who revolutionized quantum travel. I've been eager to meet you." "Governor Thalion," Rita said with a perfectly executed bow. "May I formally present Eric Matthews of Earth?" Eric bowed as instructed, and the governor nodded approvingly. "Your reputation precedes you, Mr. Matthews. Your quantum algorithms have transformed interstellar commerce." "You're too keen, Governor," Eric replied. "Your world is beautiful. I'm honored to be here." As they conversed, Eric noticed other guests watching them with undisguised curiosity. Some expressions were admiring, others skeptical, and a few openly hostile. "Don't mind them," Rita whispered when the governor moved on to greet other guests. "Humans are still a novelty in our highest circles." "I'm used to being the odd one out," Eric said with a shrug. Rita led him through the gathering, introducing him to various dignitaries and business leaders. To his surprise, she seemed genuinely proud to be seen with him, a stark contrast to her initial disdain. During a musical interlude performed by musicians whose instruments created not just sound but visible patterns of light, Rita guided Eric to a secluded balcony overlooking the lake. "You're handling this remarkably well," she said, handing him a glass of iridescent blue liquid. "Most off-worlders find our gatherings overwhelming." Eric took a cautious sip, finding the drink pleasantly reminiscent of aged whiskey with notes of something like cinnamon. "I've attended my share of uncomfortable business functions, though I admit, none quite so spectacular." Rita leaned against the railing, studying him. "You're not what I expected, Eric Matthews." "And what did you expect?" "Human billionaires are typically ostentatious, demanding. You're neither." Eric smiled. "Maybe you need to meet more humans." "Maybe I do." Her sapphire eyes held his gaze for a moment longer than necessary before she looked away. "We should return. There are still many who wish to meet you." As they turned to go back inside, Eric noticed a group of Caeruleans watching them intently, their expressions cold. One, a male with elaborate silver markings on his blue skin, whispered something to his companions who laughed derisively. "Friends of yours?" Eric asked quietly. Rita's expression tightened. "Hardly, that's Valerian Nix, my former business partner." He's not fond of humans. I gathered that much. Ignore him, Rita said, but Eric could feel the tension in her arm as they passed the group. Rita, Valerian called out, his voice silky. How progressive of you to escort a human to our gathering, though I suppose even primitives have their uses when they possess enough credits. The gathering fell silent as Valerian's words hung in the air. Carolean elites turned to watch, their expressions ranging from embarrassment to anticipation. Rita's hand tightened on Eric's arm, a silent warning not to escalate the situation. Eric studied Valerian for a moment, the elaborate silver markings that adorned his blue skin, the expensive cut of his attire, the smug confidence of someone accustomed to intimidating others. Then, instead of showing anger, Eric smiled broadly. Mr. Nix, I believe, he said, stepping forward and extending his hand in the human gesture of greeting. I've heard about your work in the Rigelian markets. Quite impressive for someone operating with such traditional algorithms. Valerian stared at the offered hand with disdain but didn't take it. Traditional? Our financial systems were perfected centuries before humans learned to leave their own atmosphere. Perfected is a strong word, Eric replied pleasantly, withdrawing his hand without embarrassment. Though I suppose if one is satisfied with 7% annual growth, perfection is a matter of perspective. A ripple of surprised murmurs spread through the onlookers. Valerian's company was known for its consistent but unspectacular returns. My quantum-enhanced trading platforms averaged 23%, Eric continued conversationally, as if discussing the weather. I'd be happy to share some insights. After all, primitives like myself benefit greatly from the wisdom of more established species. Laughter erupted around them, not mocking but genuine appreciation for Eric's deft handling of the insult. Valerian's face darkened to a deeper blue. You mistake luck for skill, human, he hissed. Your species stumbled upon quantum mechanics like children, finding a weapon they don't understand. Perhaps, Eric conceded with a humble nod that was clearly anything but. Yet children often see possibilities that escape those burdened by too much knowledge of what cannot be done. He raised his glass in a toast to new perspectives and the wisdom to recognize their value regardless of their source. Governor Thelian, who had approached during the exchange, lifted his own glass. Well said, Mr. Matthews. A toast indeed. The gathering followed suit, leaving Valerian isolated in his hostility. With a final glare at Eric and Rita, he turned and stalked away, his companions hurrying after him. That was Rita began as they moved away from the crowd. Diplomatic, Eric suggested. I was going to say dangerous, she replied, but her eyes sparkled with admiration. Valerian has significant influence here. All the more reason not to let him set the terms of engagement. Eric guided her toward a quiet alcove where living crystal formations created a semblance of privacy. Besides, I meant what I said about new perspectives. The universe is too vast for any species to claim superiority. Rita studied him with newfound curiosity. Most humans I've encountered would have responded with anger or retreated in shame. I'm not most humans. No, she agreed softly. You're certainly not. The remainder of the evening passed in a whirl of introductions and conversations. Eric found himself genuinely enjoying the company of many Caroleans, whose initial reserve gave way to engaging discussions once they moved past species-based preconceptions. Throughout it all, Rita remained by his side, her initial professional detachment gradually warming into something more personal. Her laughter came more freely, her touches lingered longer than necessary, and her sapphire eyes frequently sought his across crowded conversations. When they finally departed, the night sky was beginning to lighten with the first hints of dawn. In the privacy of Rita's shuttle, a comfortable silence settled between them. You've made quite an impression, Rita said finally, her voice soft in the dimly lit cabin. I've received 17 messages asking about you. Eric raised an eyebrow. Business inquiries? Some. A smile played at her lips. Others were more personal. Apparently, several of our most eligible Caroleans find humans intriguing. And what did you tell them? Rita's gaze met his, direct and unguarded. That they would need to find their own human. This one is occupied. The air between them seemed to charge with electricity. Eric reached across the space separating them, his fingers brushing against hers. "Is that so?" Instead of answering, Rita moved closer, the luminescent threads in her gown creating a constellation of light between them. Her hand came to rest against his chest, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "Carulians have a saying," she murmured. "The stars align but once in a lifetime. Miss their convergence and the pattern is lost forever." Eric understood the meaning behind her words. Cultural differences aside, some things transcended species. Attraction, connection, the recognition of something rare and worth pursuing. His hand came up to cup her face, thumb tracing the delicate curve of her cheekbone. "And are the stars aligning for us, Rita Navari?" Her answer was to close the distance between them, her lips meeting his in a kiss that began tentatively but quickly deepened with shared hunger. Her skin was cooler than a human's but warm beneath his touch, and the scent of her, like lavender and ozone, filled his senses. When they finally broke apart, both slightly breathless, Rita's eyes had darkened to a deeper sapphire. "My residence is closer than your hotel," she whispered. The shuttle changed course with a subtle command from Rita, banking toward the exclusive district where the city's most successful business owners lived. As they approached a sleek, modern structure that seemed to grow organically from the surrounding landscape, Eric felt a moment of uncertainty. "Are there compatibility issues I should know about?" he asked. Rita's laughter was like music. "Carulians and humans are remarkably similar in the ways that matter," she assured him, her fingers intertwining with his. "Though I've heard humans possess certain endurance advantages." The shuttle docked at a private entrance, and they moved through Rita's home in a haze of desire, pausing only for increasingly passionate kisses. Her bedroom opened before them, a space of elegant simplicity with a large bed that seemed to float above the floor. What followed was a discovery of similarities and differences, of unexpected pleasures and shared desires. Cultural barriers fell away, replaced by the universal language of touch and response. Their coming together was both tender and fierce, a claiming and a giving that transcended their different worlds. Later, as they lay entwined in the soft glow of Carulia's approaching dawn, Rita traced patterns on Eric's chest. "I've never," she began, then paused. "Been with a human?" Eric supplied. "Been with anyone who made me feel this way," she corrected, "like the universe has suddenly expanded." Eric pulled her closer, pressing a kiss to her forehead. "I know exactly what you mean." Eric woke to the gentle chime of his secure datapad. Carolean sunlight filtered through the semi-transparent walls of Rita's bedroom, casting everything in a soft, azure glow. Beside him, Rita slept peacefully, her silver-white hair spread across the pillow like a halo, her blue skin luminescent in the morning light. For a moment, he simply watched her, marveling at how quickly his perception of her had changed. From arrogant saleswoman to passionate lover in the span of 2 days, it seemed almost too perfect. The datapad chimed again, more insistently this time. With a sigh, Eric carefully extracted himself from the bed and padded to the adjoining room where he'd left his belongings. And the message was flagged with the highest security clearance from Justin Stewart, his chief of security back on Earth. Eric's thumb pressed against the biometric scanner, and the encrypted message unfolded. "Urgent. Security breach detected in quantum algorithm development servers. Evidence suggests targeted industrial espionage. Tracing origin to Carulia. Possible connection to your current location. Exercise. Extreme caution. Full report attached." Eric's jaw tightened as he scrolled through the attached files. Someone had attempted to access the core architecture of his company's next-generation quantum navigation system. Technology worth billions and years ahead of anything currently on the market. The intrusion had been sophisticated, nearly undetectable, but Justin's team had traced it to a server hub in Carulia's financial district. The timing, just hours after Eric's arrival on the planet, couldn't be coincidental. A final note from Justin caught his eye. Background check on Rita Navari reveals business connections to Valerian Nix dating back 5 years. Possible honeypot scenario. Advise immediate extraction. Eric felt as if the air had been sucked from the room. He glanced back toward the bedroom where Rita still slept, his mind racing. Had everything, her apology, her warmth, their night together, been an elaborate act? A way to get close to him while Valerian's people raided his company's servers? "You're up early." Eric turned to find Rita standing in the doorway, wrapped in a shimmering robe that matched her eyes. Her hair was tousled from sleep, and her expression was soft, unguarded. She looked nothing like someone executing a calculated betrayal. "Business never sleeps," he said, keeping his voice neutral as he closed the datapad. "Not even for moments like last night." Rita moved toward him, a smile playing at her lips. "Last night was unexpected." She reached for his hand, her fingers cool against his skin. "I've never experienced such intensity with anyone before." Eric allowed her to take his hand but studied her face carefully. If she was acting, she was exceptionally good at it. "Rita, I need to ask you something, and I need an honest answer." Her smile faltered slightly. "Of course. What's your relationship with Valerian Nix?" The question clearly caught her off guard. Her hand withdrew from his and she took a step back. "He was my business partner, as I mentioned. Why?" "Just your business partner?" Eric pressed. Rita's eyes narrowed. "We had a brief personal relationship years ago, if that's what you're asking. It ended badly." She crossed her arms. "What's this about, Eric?" Instead of answering directly, he handed her the datapad. "Someone tried to hack into my company's secure servers last night. The attack originated from Karelia." Rita's eyes widened as she scanned the report. When she looked up, her expression had hardened. "And you think I had something to do with this? That last night was what, a distraction?" "The thought crossed my mind," Eric admitted. "The timing is suspicious." "I see." Her voice was cold now. All the warmth of the previous night vanished. "So one night together, and you already believe I'm capable of corporate espionage? Is that how little humans trust?" Eric ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "It's not about trust, it's about patterns. I meet you, suddenly I'm invited to elite gatherings where Valerian happens to be present, and meanwhile my servers are being attacked." "And naturally the blue alien woman must be involved," Rita said bitterly. "Because we're all just waiting for the chance to steal human technology, aren't we?" "That's not what It's exactly what you implied." She thrust the datapad back at him. "You should leave." Eric took the device, but didn't move. Something wasn't adding up. If Rita was involved, why would she react with such genuine hurt? And if the goal had been to distract him while the servers were breached, why continue the charade this morning? "Wait," he said as Rita turned away. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have accused you without more evidence." She paused but didn't turn around. "No, you shouldn't have." "But someone is targeting my company and Valerian seems the most likely suspect. Your history with him makes you a potential link." Rita finally turned back to face him, her sapphire eyes flashing with anger. "My history with Valerian is precisely why I would never help him. He used me, Eric. He used my father's financial troubles to manipulate me into a partnership that benefited only him. When I finally realized what he was doing and tried to break free, he threatened to ruin what was left of my family's reputation." Her words rang with truth, and Eric felt a twinge of shame for doubting her. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" "Because it's humiliating," she said simply. "I was young and naive, and he was charming and powerful. By the time I understood who he really was, I was already trapped in a business arrangements that took years to unravel." Eric moved closer, reaching for her hand again. This time she didn't pull away. "I'm sorry, Rita, truly. But if Valerian is behind this attack, you could be in danger too." Her anger seemed to deflate slightly. "Why would I be in danger?" "Because you're connected to me now. If Valerian wants my technology badly enough to risk corporate espionage, he won't hesitate to use you to get to me." Rita's expression shifted from anger to concern. "You really think he'd go that far?" I think someone who would threaten your family's reputation wouldn't draw the line at more direct methods." Eric squeezed her hand gently. "We need to be careful." She nodded slowly, then moved into his arms, resting her head against his chest. "I'm sorry about your father," she murmured. "The human business partner I told you about. That was a lie. It was easier than admitting Valerian had manipulated me." Eric held her close, breathing in her scent, wanting to believe her completely, but still nagged by lingering doubts. We'll figure this out together, he promised. As if on cue, his datapad chimed again. They broke apart as Eric checked the message. Another alert from Justin. Second breach attempt in progress. Different approach. Same source. Valerian Nix's financial firm identified as front for attack. Eric showed Ryder the message. It seems we have our answer. Her eyes widened. Valerian is directly targeting your company? That's insane. The corporate penalties alone would destroy him. Not if he succeeds and covers his tracks, Eric said grimly, and not if he has powerful friends protecting him. Ryder's expression darkened. He does have friends in high places, including on the regulatory council that oversees corporate disputes. Then we need proof that will stand up even to his connections. Eric began gathering his things. I need to get back to my hotel and coordinate with my security team. Ryder caught his arm. Let me help. I know how Valerian operates, his weaknesses, his hiding places. Eric studied her face, searching for any sign of deception and finding only determination. Whatever her past with Valerian, her anger toward him seemed genuine. All right, he said finally, but we do this my way, carefully. Ryder nodded, a fierce smile spreading across her face. I wouldn't have it any other way. The Phoenix Celestial is ready for delivery exactly as you specified, Ryder announced 3 days later, her voice carrying the professional tone she used with premium clients. But her eyes, meeting Eric's across the showroom, held a different message entirely. They had spent those 3 days planning meticulously. By day, they maintained the appearance of a normal business transaction, the wealthy human customer and the accommodating Cyrillian saleswoman. By night, they strategized in the privacy of Eric's hotel suite, their professional discussions inevitably giving way to more intimate connections as the tension of their dangerous game heightened their attraction to one another. Excellent, Eric replied, matching her professional demeanor. I'm eager to inspect it. Ryder led him through the showroom toward the delivery bay, her black leather suit making a soft sound with each step. We've implemented all your requested customizations, Mr. Matthews. The quantum navigation system is particularly impressive. The emphasis she placed on quantum was subtle, a signal that everything was in place. The trap was set. Justin Stewart had flown in from Earth the previous day, bringing with him specialized monitoring equipment that could track and record any attempt to access the ship's systems. The Phoenix Celestial now contained a dummy version of Eric's quantum navigation algorithm, convincing enough to fool anyone trying to steal it, but ultimately useless. The real prize for Valerian would be the access codes that would supposedly allow his team to extract the algorithm remotely once Eric took possession of the ship. Those codes, carefully planted in the dealership's secure server, were the bait. The delivery bay has been prepared for your private inspection, Ryder continued as they passed through a security door. No other staff will disturb us. The massive bay doors slid open to reveal the Phoenix Celestial in all its glory. The ship seemed alive under the bay's lights, its pearlescent hull shifting colors like a living organism. It was undeniably beautiful, a perfect marriage of form and function. It's magnificent, Eric said, and he meant it. Despite the circumstances, he couldn't help but admire the craftsmanship. Rita smiled, a genuine expression that softened her features. It is, isn't it? The finest vessel I've ever had the privilege to sell. They circled the ship slowly, maintaining their charade for any hidden surveillance Valerian might have installed. When they reached the boarding ramp, Ryder activated it with a touch to her wrist device. Shall we? She asked, gesturing toward the ship's interior. Once inside, with the ship's security systems active and scanning for unauthorized surveillance, they could finally speak freely. Justin confirmed that Valerian's team made 3 separate attempts to access the dealership's secure server last night, Eric said, his voice low despite the privacy. They'll have the bait codes by now. Ryder nodded, her expression grim. My security chief reports unusual activity in the maintenance section. 2 technicians who aren't on the regular schedule requested access to the delivery bay systems this morning. Valerian's people? Almost certainly. I approved their access request personally. They're likely installing remote monitoring equipment as we speak. Eric smiled, a predator's expression that Ryder found surprisingly attractive on his usually composed face. Perfect. He let them think they're being clever. They continued through the ship, making a show of inspecting each system for the benefit of any watching eyes. The interior was as impressive as the exterior. Plush seating upholstered in genuine earth leather, control panels of polished Carolean crystal, and sleeping quarters fit for royalty. The primary quantum drive is through here, Rita said, leading him toward the engine room. Once inside, surrounded by the soft hum of the ship's power systems, she activated a small device on her wrist that would temporarily scramble any surveillance. "We have about 30 seconds, she whispered, suddenly very close to him. Eric didn't waste the opportunity, pulling her into his arms and capturing her lips in a fierce kiss. The danger they faced, the elaborate trap they had set, the thrill of outwitting Valerian, it all heightened the intensity between them. "Be careful tonight," he murmured against her lips. "If Valerian suspects anything—" "He won't," she assured him, her fingers tangling in his hair. "I've dealt with his type before. Men like him are so convinced of their superiority that they never see the trap until it's too late." The device on her wrist beeped softly, warning them that the scrambler's effect was ending. They separated reluctantly, resuming their professional demeanor, just as the surveillance would be coming back online. "The engine efficiency exceeds Galactic Transportation Authority standards by 17%, Rita continued smoothly, as if there had been no interruption. They completed their inspection and returned to the showroom, where Rita presented Eric with the final purchase agreement and transfer of ownership documents. "Once you authorize the transfer, the ship will be officially yours," she said, sliding the documents across the polished surface of her desk. "Will you be taking possession immediately, or would you prefer we deliver it to your designated landing pad?" "I'll take it now," Eric replied, pressing his thumb to the biometric scanner. "I'm eager to test its capabilities." Rita nodded, her professional mask firmly in place despite the electric current that seemed to flow between them whenever their eyes met. "Of course." "The fueling and final systems check have been completed. It's ready for departure whenever you are." As Eric completed the transaction, his datapad vibrated with a message from Justin. "Surveillance detected in delivery bay. Trap is set. We're tracking 3 separate access attempts to the dummy algorithm already." Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Tonight, when Valerian's team made their move to extract what they thought was the quantum navigation algorithm, Justin's systems would trace the intrusion back to its source, providing irrefutable evidence of corporate espionage. "Will you be leaving Carolea soon?" Rita asked, her voice carefully neutral as she handed him the ship's access codes. "Not immediately," Eric replied with a slight smile. "I have some unfinished business to attend to first." Their fingers brushed as she passed him the crystal data key, and even that brief contact sent a current of awareness through them both. "Perhaps a celebratory dinner would be in order," Rita suggested, "to commemorate your purchase." "I'd like that," Eric said. "My hotel at 8? She nodded, her sapphire eyes promising much more than dinner. "I'll be there." As Eric left the dealership, boarding his new ship with the conspicuous confidence of someone who had no idea he was being watched, he felt a curious mixture of anticipation and concern. The trap was set, the evidence would soon be gathered, and Valerian's schemes would be exposed. But he couldn't shake the worry that they were dealing with someone dangerous enough to have contingency plans of his own. Someone who wouldn't hesitate to eliminate any threat to his ambitions. Someone who might already suspect that the arrogant human and the beautiful Carolean saleswoman were more than they appeared to be. Eric paced the floor of his hotel suite, checking his chronometer for the 3rd time in as many minutes. It was 8:30, and Rita still hadn't arrived. "She's just running late," he told himself, but the knot in his stomach tightened with each passing moment. His datapad chimed with an incoming message from Justin. Valerian's team took the bait. Evidence secured. Transmitting to Carolean authorities now. At least that part of their plan had worked. But where was Rita? Eric tried her personal comm channel again. No response. His unease deepened into genuine concern. The suite's communication panel lit up with an incoming call. Eric lunged for it, expecting, hoping to see Rita's face. Instead, Valerian Nix's smug expression filled the screen. "Mr. Matthews," he said, his tone conversational. "I believe I have something that belongs to you." The camera panned to reveal Rita, seated in what appeared to be a small shuttle cabin. Her hands were bound, and a thin trickle of blue blood ran from a cut on her cheek, but her eyes blazed with defiance. "I'm fine, Eric," she called out before Valerian moved back into frame. "For now," Valerian added with a cold smile, "though her continued well-being depends entirely on you." Eric's jaw clenched, but he kept his voice steady. "What do you want, Nix?" "The real quantum navigation algorithm, of course, not the clever decoy you planted in your new ship." Valerian's eyes narrowed. "You have 1 hour to transmit the complete, functional code to the coordinates I'm sending now. If you fail, or if you alert the authorities, Ms. Navari will experience firsthand how fragile Carulian physiology can be." The transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by a set of coordinates that indicated a location in Carulia's asteroid belt. Eric immediately contacted Justin, who appeared on screen looking grim. "I heard everything," Justin said. "The transmission was encrypted, but not well enough. They're on a modified courier shuttle, maximum speed about 70% of what your new Phoenix can do." "Can we track them?" "Already am. They're heading for the asteroid belt, probably planning to rendezvous with a larger ship." Justin's fingers flew over his console. "I've loaded the real coordinates to your Phoenix's navigation system. The authorities have been alerted, but they're being cautious. Valerian has friends in high places." "I'm not waiting for bureaucracy," Eric said, already moving toward the door. "Have the Phoenix ready for immediate departure." 20 minutes later, Eric was strapped into the pilot's seat of his new Starship, the engines humming with barely restrained power. The Phoenix Celestial might have been designed for luxury, but its military-grade propulsion system made it one of the fastest civilian vessels in the sector. "Their shuttle entered the asteroid belt 5 minutes ago," Justin reported from the control tower. "They're maintaining a direct course to the coordinates Valerian sent you." "Which means they're expecting me to follow their instructions," Eric said, initiating the launch sequence. "They don't know we can track them." The Phoenix rose from the landing pad with graceful precision, its advanced stabilizers compensating for the rapid acceleration as Eric pushed it to maximum atmospheric speed. "Be careful in that belt," Justin warned. "Those rocks are unpredictable, and your ship doesn't have military-grade shields." "It has something better," Eric replied, a grim smile playing at his lips. "A motivated human pilot." As the Phoenix broke free of Carulia's atmosphere, Eric engaged the quantum drive. The stars blurred momentarily before resolving into new positions as the ship covered vast distances in microseconds. The asteroid belt loomed ahead, a chaotic jumble of rocks ranging from the size of his fist to small moons. Eric reduced speed and activated the ship's advanced sensor array, scanning for Valerian's shuttle. It took only moments to locate it, weaving through the asteroids on a course toward a larger vessel hidden in the shadow of a massive rock formation. "I see them," Eric reported to Justin, "and at their rendezvous point. Looks like a modified freighter, probably with illegal weapons upgrades." "Carulian security forces are 20 minutes behind you," Justin said. "Can you stall until they arrive?" Eric considered his options. In 20 minutes, Valerian could transfer righted to the freighter and jump to hyperspace, disappearing forever. "No timer," he decided. "I'm going in." He cut communication and focused entirely on piloting. The Phoenix responded to his commands with remarkable sensitivity, dancing between asteroids that would have crushed a less maneuverable vessel. Eric had spent years testing prototype ships for his company before turning to the business side of operations. Those skills came flooding back as he pushed the Phoenix to its limits, gaining rapidly on Valerian's shuttle. The shuttle's pilot must have detected his approach. It suddenly veered off course, accelerating toward a dense cluster of asteroids where the larger Phoenix would have difficulty following. "Nice try," Eric muttered, executing a series of tight maneuvers that kept him on their tail. The shuttle fired its rear weapons, illegal modifications for a civilian vessel, sending energy pulses streaking toward the Phoenix. Eric rolled the ship, narrowly avoiding the blasts, and continued his pursuit. They were drawing closer to the freighter now. Eric knew he had only moments before Valerian would be safely aboard the larger vessel with Rita as his hostage. Making a split-second decision, he activated the Phoenix's communication system. "Valerian," he called, "I have the algorithm. Let Rita go, and it's yours." Valerian's face appeared on the screen, his expression skeptical. "Transmit it now, and I'll consider releasing her once I've verified its authenticity." "No deal," Eric replied. I'm not transmitting anything, but I'll dock with your freighter and make the exchange in person. Me for her. Valerian seemed to consider this. Very noble, Mr. Matthews, very human. Approach the freighter's main airlock with your shields down and weapon systems offline. The transmission ended and Eric smiled grimly. Valerian had taken the bait. As the Phoenix approached the freighter, Eric activated a sequence of commands he and Justin had prepared. The ship's auxiliary systems began a silent, invisible broadcast. Not of the quantum algorithm, but of a specialized virus designed to infiltrate and temporarily disable any vessel that received it. The freighter's docking bay opened, revealing a cavernous space large enough to accommodate the Phoenix. Eric guided his ship inside, noting the armed guards waiting on the landing platform. As soon as the Phoenix touched down, the virus completed its upload. Throughout the freighter, systems began to fail. Weapons, shields, engines, even artificial gravity in non-essential areas. Before Valerian's guards could react, Eric had sealed his environment suit and blown the Phoenix's emergency hatches, venting the ship's atmosphere in a controlled explosion that knocked the unprepared guards off their feet. In the confusion, he spotted Rita being hustled toward an interior door by Valerian himself. The Carolean businessman had a small weapon pressed against her side. Eric launched himself across the hangar in the low gravity, his powerful human muscles giving him an advantage over the Carolean guards who were struggling to reorient themselves. "Stop right there, Matthews!" Valerian shouted, turning his weapon toward Eric. "One more step and she dies!" Eric halted, raising his hand slowly. "It's over, Valerian. Carolean security forces are minutes away, and your ship is dead in space." "Then she dies, and so do you," Valerian snarled, his finger tightening on the trigger. What happened next occurred so quickly that later, when Rita described it to the authorities, she could barely sequence the events properly. Rita drove her elbow backward into Valerian's midsection with surprising force. As he doubled over, Eric launched himself forward with explosive speed that no Carolean could match. The weapon discharged, the energy pulse searing past Eric's shoulder as he collided with Valerian, driving him to the floor. One precisely delivered blow rendered Valerian unconscious. "Are you hurt?" Eric asked, quickly freeing Rita's bound hands. "Nothing serious," she assured him, touching the cut on her cheek. "But we need to move. Valerian's security chief is on the bridge. He'll be trying to override your virus." They made their way through the disabled freighter, encountering minimal resistance from the confused crew. By the time they reached the Phoenix, Carolean security forces were docking with the freighter's east secondary airlock. As they strapped into the Phoenix cockpit, Rita reached over and squeezed Eric's hand. "That was either the bravest or most foolish thing I've ever seen." Eric grinned. "Humans are known for being both." "So I'm learning," she replied, her sapphire eyes warm with admiration. The aftermath unfolded rapidly. With the evidence gathered by Justin's team and Valerian's attempted kidnapping, not even his powerful connections could shield him from prosecution. The Carolean judiciary moved with unprecedented speed, freezing his assets and revoking his business licenses pending a full investigation. 2 weeks later, Eric and Rita stood on the observation deck of his hotel, watching the twin moons of Carolia rise over the city skyline. The Phoenix Celestial was docked below, fully repaired after the confrontation in the asteroid belt. "The dealership's board has asked me to stay on as CEO," Rita said, leaning against the railing. "With Valerian's network exposed, there's an opportunity to rebuild the company's reputation." Eric nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "My team on Earth wants me back. The quantum navigation system is ready for full production." A comfortable silence fell between them, filled with unspoken questions about the future. "You know," Rita said finally, turning to face him, "Astral Elegance could benefit from a partnership with Terran Quantum Solutions. Our ships, your navigation systems." "A human Carolean joint venture?" Eric raised an eyebrow. "That would be unprecedented." "So was a Carolean saleswoman falling for a human customer," Rita pointed out, moving closer to him. "Yet here we are." Eric smiled, pulling her into his arms. "Here we are indeed." Their lips met as the moons cast their silver light over the city. A human and a Carolean forging a connection that transcended their differences. A connection that had begun with mockery and a luxury starship dealership and blossomed into something neither had expected to find. I still can't believe you walked into my dealership in that plain black t-shirt, Rita murmured against his lips. Eric laughed. And I can't believe you thought I couldn't afford your ships. Well, Rita said, her fingers tracing patterns on his chest. I've learned not to judge humans by their appearance, especially ones with gold credit cards. And I've learned that sometimes the most valuable things can't be purchased, Eric replied, drawing her closer as the night enveloped them in its embrace.